Hello everybody. I'd like to show you how I looked at the text, "Could bats cure cancer?" I know you won't be able to read the text. That's not important. You have your own copy. I'm going to show you a little bit of how I went through it. So first thing is I scan it and I see that the title is "Could Bats Cure Cancer?" I see there's a picture of bats, and then I see a close-up picture of a bat. I see that it says one out of two down here. I turn it over, and I see that it's just a sentence or two lines on the other side. So first thing is I know that it's about bats, cancer, and cure. I have to think of maybe for a minute or two about what cure means, but fixing, saving, getting better from. So I go through and I read the text fairly quickly. I like to use Pilot Papermate pens to underline. I don't like to highlight too much, but if I have to, I will. And then I read the text, and I read it fairly quickly the first time, and then the second time I go back and I start highlighting. And as you can see, we can get all of the text on the first page in here. So I look at it and I underline, avoid getting infected by the viruses themselves, because I thought that was very interesting that even though they have this Ebola and SARS, which I don't know what it is, or it's not important to know, but they avoid getting infected. So we're talking about curing, but they don't get infected, so they're not even sick. So how can they cure cancer? So I underlined that. So researchers wanted to know, how do bats fight off so many deadly diseases? A question. It's called a rhetorical question. That means you're not expected to answer it. They're going to answer it. So that's a big clue because it is a question. So I also highlighted that portion. And I also, in the next sentence, said, could help doctors better treat humans. Aha. Goes back to my title, so I'm paying attention to what that is. To solve this puzzle, a team of researchers from Australia and China. Nothing is highlighted in this paragraph because it doesn't relate back to curing. It's more about how. The research was done. Now, is that important to how could bats cure cancer? Doesn't seem that way. Then I continue on reading. The scientists studied two kinds of bats. And again, there's no underlining or highlighting, but I do get some interesting information about what bats were studied. But again, it doesn't go back to my curing cancer, so I don't underline anything. The researchers now think that the special immunity to illness that bats may have may be connected to their ability to fly. Aha! Special immunity. I might need to look up immunity. Immune system. You've looked at it in science, I'm sure. In previous years, it's how we fight diseases. So I know that immunity and illness, so this is an important part going back to my title of Could Bats Cure Cancer, may be connected to their ability to fly. I underline that. And it may be how. How the bats avoid illness. And I'm this is my second reading. And when I use the SQ3R, scan, question, read, review, or recite, and reflect, there is sometimes a need for a second reading, and that, is important. All right, I'm getting a little bit long here in my time. I'll move a little bit quicker. Bats are the only mammals that can truly fly. Blah, 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 blah. Flying produces particles in the animals called free radicals. Free radicals can damage DNA and lead to diseases such as cancer. So we look at that, and I see that that's important to me. They produce these free radicals. But in the next paragraph, I see that they are unaffected by the free radicals, and I didn't underline that because the next sentence was very important. The reason is that bats carry unique genes to deal with toxins and repair any damaged DNA. Oops, scientists, oops. So now I'm getting a little more specific. First it was connected to the ability to fly. Now we have unique genes. So that's how I was able to take some notes, annotate my text. Notice there are just a few things here. Not too much, but just enough. That was a little bit longer than I wanted to do, but thank you very much for staying with me to the end.